What's up guys, Erroneous here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the brand new clan boss because I did get a letter here from Plarium. It says, a battle against a new threat to Teleria. Hidden within the darkest void, deep in the stormwind wastes, lies a twisted beast of untold strength. Rumors abound that this malign creature guards treasure untold and that only the bravest would ever dare to face it in battle. And so, as some of Raid's most fearless clan leaders, you must be more than experienced enough to step on up to challenge. Behind the learn button lies a tiny morsel of information that might help you and your clanmates prepare to face whatever lies within the darkness. So take the plunge and embark on this mysterious journey. So let's take a look here. What do we have? We've got the Viper form, what I'm looking at. Move myself out of the way here. So for the Viper form, what we have here, attacks all enemies. If there are any dead enemies, or if the initial attack kills at least one enemy, places an extra hit. That's the Putrid Fang ability. The boss does get all different affinities, similar to the original clan boss, which is kind of cool. Has a 50% chance of placing Fear, True Fear, Freeze, Provoke, Sleep, Stun, and Petrification debuff on each enemy for one turn. It's or petrification, so it'll place at least one of them. So that's kind of strong. On an A1, that is pretty strong, not gonna lie. On the A2, Stinger Cyclone attacks all enemies. This attack deals single target damage to each target individually rather than in an AoE. So it's single target, not AoE. So basically champions like Duchess, where they have an AoE support passive where it mitigates damage from AoE attacks. So this is going to go through that. It's not going to do anything if you have a Duchess. So you do want to try to bring champs that are supporting champions, but of course this boss rather, seems like he's going to ignore a lot of different champion or support champion passives. So just with this skill alone. So before attacking, places a Hex debuff and 100% heal reduction debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. So that's kind of tough. You want to make sure you're bringing in maybe like a block debuffs buff champion. You want to bring in someone who has a lot of protection with protection set. So you could bring in like an Elva, put her in 9-piece protection. She does place increased speed and block debuffs buff for 2 turns. And of course, with the mastery, you can increase the chance of placing the buff on for 3 turns, which is really nice. Then this champion instantly activates all poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns on the Stinger Cyclone, of course. Then transfers all debuffs from the new clan boss to the enemies under Hex or heal reduction debuffs placed by this skill. So yes, you're definitely going to want to have block debuffs buff up pretty much the entire time. And if you can help it, of course, but not everybody's going to be able to do that. Increases the new clan boss's turn meter by 5% for each debuff transferred. Yikes. So if you do not have a cleanse champion or a champion that's going to be able to place the block debuffs buff, you are going to be SOL. So be very careful. Make sure you have someone that can help you from a supporting standpoint. Next here we've got on the A3, Haze of Pestilence. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, steals all buffs from all enemies except continuous heal buffs. Interesting. Doesn't steal continuous heal buffs. There must be some type of interesting passive on this. Places 3 poison debuffs and 25% poison sensitivity for 3 turns. Then increases duration of all poison debuffs on all enemies for 1 turn. Instantly activates any poison debuffs on all enemies. Yikes. Yeah, you definitely need to bring in cleansers and you definitely need to have block debuffs buff up the entire fight because this guy's going to do a crazy amount of CC on your champions. And of course, with the new clan boss, you know, polymorph's not going to affect a boss, so just keep that in mind. On his passive, Unholy Metamorph transforms the new clan boss into its ultimate form and removes all buffs and debuffs. Okay, I'm interested to see what the ultimate form is, but just looking at this picture right here, it does look like, let's see how much I can zoom in. It does look like with this ultimate form, it's in a tiger form and it has like snakes for hair. So I wonder, that's going to be like a Cerberus, something like that. Let me take a look at some pictures here. Cerberus, it probably looks something more along the lines of like a chimera, where it has a lion, a snake, and a goat attached to it. So I feel like it could look something similar to this for the new clan boss, but from the looks of it, it could look different. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but it's possible that's what the new boss could look like. And then Deathly Contagion, another passive ability. So with this one, whenever an enemy is killed, places a necrosis stack on all other enemies. Necrosis stacks cannot be resisted or blocked. Necrosis stacks can only be removed by reviving dead allies. If multiple champions are revived, the number of necrosis stacks removed is equal to the number of champions revived. But what does necrosis do? We're going to have to figure that one out. Another passive. So many passives on this boss. Kind of crazy, huh? But I guess with new bosses, as they keep on coming along, they're going to get more and more passives. On this one, Enemy of Mortality, revived enemies will have 25% less HP and 25% less turn meter. Huh. Does that mean it's going to destroy max HP? So I'm not sure if it's reading as 25% less max HP, or does it just mean you're going to straight up only get less health to begin with? So like if, say you bring in a champion with 75k HP, 25% less, are you going to lose 15 to 20,000 HP every time he revives or she revives on the floor? Not sure. It sounds more like a enemy max HP skill to me, but who knows? Whenever the new clan boss kills an enemy, removes any block active skills from itself. So you can place block active skills on the boss. So that's big. There's a bunch of champions that place block active skills. For example, you could have someone along the lines of a Carnage if you have him. Obviously, Carnage would be insane because he has a ton of really good skills here. Block passives, block actives, and the block active skills cannot be removed. So the boss says right here in the passive that it removes any block debuffs or block active skills from itself. But if you place a irresistible or irremovable block active skills, I assume the boss cannot remove it. So Carnage would actually come in clutch against this boss potentially on his base form. He could end up being really, really strong against this boss. The only downside is his speed is in arena only. So that's just one thing to note with that skill, with the passive against the boss. At the start of the clan boss's turn, transfers all poison debuffs on the new clan boss to all enemies. All transfer debuffs last for 2 turns. That's interesting. Again, block buffs is going to be really important. Champions like a Tuhanarok, champions like a Doom Priest are going to be very strong here because they both have a passive of removing or cleansing debuffs from your allies at the start of their turn. So those champions could end up being really, really big, like skyrocketed in value. So keep that in mind. Denies 1 enemy revival attempt. If multiple enemies are revived at once, will deny 1 random revival attempt. So you're going to want to bring in AoE revive champions as compared to single target revive champs if you can help it. But I guess it's not the end of the world if you have to bring in a champion that only does a single target revive. Like, say, for example, your earlier mid-game, if you have Scylla the Drakes, who is a barbarian, you get very early on. She does have a single target revive with ally protection, which is strong for clan boss early mid-game. But, of course, you're probably going to end up swapping her out for someone better as soon as you get a better champion to replace her. So that'll be an interesting one for that passive. The next one here, or the last one, is Almighty Viper. Immune to petrification, stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, block passive skills. Oh, man. So he's immune to it. Oh, just for block passive, but not block active. Okay, that's good. Not immune to block active, so Carnage still is going to be top tier. Fear, True Fear, Hunter's Gaze. What the heck is Hunter's Gaze? Hold on a minute. Wait a second. Hunter's Gaze? I don't think I've heard of that one before. Let me see if I can look this up. All right, so I checked out our trusty old Copilot from Microsoft, and basically it's just AI, but it's stating that Hunter's Gaze is a debuff in Raid Shadow Legends that is associated with the new lion form, but they can just speculate on what it is. Maybe it's similar to Taunt Buff, where it draws the attention of the attack onto a specific champion with that. But if he's going to be immune, then of course that's a big issue, right? So Berserk We already know what Berserk is. That is from the new Odin champion. Used to be, it was a boss as well. But the Odin champion places Berserk on the enemy. The enemy takes more damage, but also can deal more damage as well. And then in Feeble, he's also immune. So basically, he's immune to all of those. So it doesn't even matter if you have a champion that is onto the table and can do those specific debuffs. He's just immune. So also immune to HP exchange effects, balancing effects, cooldown increasing, turn meter reduction, and destroy max HP effects. Incoming damage inflicted by skills that scale based on the new clan boss's max HP cannot exceed 100,000 on easy, 120,000 on normal, 140,000 on hard, 160,000 on brutal, 180,000 on nightmare, or 200,000 on ultra nightmare. And the damage taken from one tick of the poison, 2.5% poison debuff, cannot exceed 10,000 HP, which is a lot less damage than what it typically does. The damage taken from the one tick of 5% poison cannot exceed 20,000 HP. The damage taken from one tick of HP burn cannot exceed 40,000. So when you land decreased defense, weaken, it does actually allow for more damage from a poison or an HP burn. Reflected damage and damage taken from the War Master or Giant Slayer masteries can also not exceed 100,000 HP. So that's a big issue, right? So that means they're trying to mitigate champions like Geomancer. They're trying to make it so you don't bring in crazy poisoners as well. So you got to go a different route. The damage taken from Smite debuffs cannot exceed 100,000 on easy, 150,000 on normal, so on and so forth as it progresses to Ultra Nightmare. So, I mean, is this boss going to be insanely difficult? The boss may be strong in the beginning, and then as time goes on, he's just going to get easy because people are going to theory craft and make the best teams possible for this boss. It's going to be great having another clan boss. I think that people are a little bit skeptical. I mean, they've always been skeptical of Plarium releasing new content. With the new content, it's more than likely going to have some bugs, and there's going to be some champions that are going to most likely be broken against him. And just keep in mind that they will more than likely nerf or buff or fix any glitches or crazy damage that occurs from specific champions. So Carnage, like I said, with the block active skills, that's unremovable. It is possible that they make this boss remove an unremovable skill. And I feel like if Carnage can always block active skills, which can be reset, right? Then it might defeat the purpose of the boss. So we'll see what happens. I do feel like they're going to make it so Carnage can't always block active skills, because I think it would just make the boss obsolete if somebody has a Carnage. But then again, not every player is going to have Carnage. He's extremely hard to get, so on and so forth. But I'm just kind of throwing things out there. I'm just speculating. I can't say for sure what's going to happen or how the boss is going to react to Carnage's block active skill that's unremovable. I don't know, but we'll see when it comes around. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about the Viper form? Do you think it's going to be an easy boss? Do you think it's going to be a wicked hard boss? Or do you just not really care too much about the new content coming out because you're just kind of disappointed these days? Anywho's, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on a video soon. Take care.